Today.
For sure, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Just to introduce you on behalf of CFMU, you're Cigarettes After Sex.
Yes, that's true. It is us.
Awesome. So how are you doing today? How's your set?
Yeah, it was good. It was nice to play Montreal again, and the crowds seemed really sweet and really nice, so we had a good time.
So I want to talk a little bit about your music. I know I was reading an article with you in Independent, and you talk about how a lot of your favorite artists kind of don't talk about sex that much, and even though sex is like a very big part of like romance and romantic life, could you expand a little bit more on that?
Yeah, it was always intriguing to me. I mean, there's so many artists that just, it seems like it's kind of like, or it was taboo to talk about sex directly until I, started listening to like Serge Gainsbourg, and I thought, wow, he's like in the 60s talking about sex pretty directly with a song like Je t'aime or something, and his music was really sexually charged. But I couldn't really think of like a US or UK equivalent to him in the 60s especially, or like the 70s even. So I just thought, sex and romance are intermingled for me. Why aren't we able to talk about sex like so openly in songs, and why is it kind of avoided so much? Especially in romance. I think you get other sexually charged music, but it's really like kind of forceful or something. It's like kind of more like a party kind of music that talks about sex. Yeah. So many songs like that, But I'm talking about sex in like more of a gentle way, in this more romantic way. I don't really feel like I ever see that for whatever reason.
Me too. Like I think like when I read it, like I noticed it too, because like I think there's always been a taboo around it. Like it's like romance can't equate to sex, even though it's, for a lot of people, it's a big part of it too, right?
Yeah, maybe it's sort of like the fact that you talk about that in a kind of things feel like less sweet. Or something like, oh, we're talking about romance, but if you start talking about sex, it starts to feel a little more maybe perverse for most people. But I think that's the trick, and that's what I want to do with my writing, was find a way to talk about it where it felt right and it felt like honest. And that was I think the main challenge in a lot of my writing is still conveying that sense of sensuality. But it's still, these are like love songs. They're about really deep romantic affairs. I'm just saying that I need both to talk openly and honestly about love. I need to talk about sex too. Some films can do it. Like if you ever saw like Blue is the Warmest Color, it's a great like modern film where love and sex are totally intermingled, and sex is like on full display in that film. It's very important to the film, but it's also an amazing love story. So I recommend that. That's kind of, I think I can see like film equivalents more than maybe artist equivalents or something like that.
Does film inspire a lot of your music?
Yeah, totally. I think what I'm trying to do is, I've been watching movies since I was a kid. At my parents' house when I was growing up, we had like this huge closet of like 1,000 VHS tapes. So I was watching movies daily and watching all kinds of movies. So the cinematic influence has always been a big thing for me. And I think now what I've tried to do is, since I'm not a director myself, I want to take like the feeling of a certain film I like and somehow bring that into the music. So I think that's been kind of another challenge too, is how do I, if I see like a great film like Double Life of Veronique or Leo Ventura or those kind of films that have this certain mood to it, I'm always thinking, how do I bring that mood from these films in certain scenes even, and kind of have that and have the music feel that way. So that's been a big thing, even to the point where I would have films on in the background when I'm writing or recording, just kind of like films on and mute. And it kind of gives you this rhythm, kind of gives you a vibe that I think you absorb, and you either get that in the performance or you get that in the writing or something, but it's a huge deal.
It's very hard because in a film you have music, you have a visual element, you have lights and etc., and then you can create that mood, and it's very obvious when things are happening. But with songs and music, like, it's very hard because you're creating an entire environment with just one sense.
Exactly, and then that's what's kind of greater to me about music than film. It's almost like a novel where it's more powerful, I think, if you imagine something rather than maybe seeing it. So, I'm telling these narrative kind of stories, and the people can see like whatever images come to mind. The music kind of channels that and brings that out of you. Something I always liked, I would listen to, like, was it like Aphex Twin's Selected Ambient Volume 2 or something? And I would always listen to these records, and they would kind of conjure up images of just kind of strange locations in my mind. And I always loved that too. I thought, I want to make music that people hear and it kind of just transports them, and that opens their mind's eye up, and they can kind of see things, and it's very visual too. I think that's really powerful.
Have you always wanted to be a musician?
Pretty much, yeah. Like since the earliest, I think there's like old video of me saying that I wanted to be a pop star. So you know, you gotta find that whole movie and track it down or something. But yeah, it was earliest memories are wanting to perform and loving music a lot.
Did you have any other aspirations, or just?
Not really. When I was a kid, I wanted to kind of maybe like be an illustrator or something at some point. Mm-hmm. You know, I was kind of sketch things, but once I started actually playing piano and playing guitar more often, that just totally fell out of my life, and I can't draw a thing anymore. But that was really it. You know, I still love film. I'd still maybe like to try directing and see what it does, just for fun, even like something that's a little different. But that's film and music are the only two aspirations I really have.
Yeah, like from what I hear, like it inspires a lot of your music, and vice versa, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it'd be cool to just try that out and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, it's just kind of like a curious thing.
Do you direct any of the music videos, or?
No, like, you know, we kind of have this thing where we haven't done a video yet because it just feels like there hasn't been a need to do it.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of like would lead me to maybe I'll try directing something for us instead of getting somebody else and see what it does. So you might see that from us maybe in the next 2 years, like trying to do like a kind of a music video project in some kind of way with maybe me trying to direct it and see what happens. But that might be the first thing I do.
Could you tell us a little bit about like the inspiration behind this new record?
The new stuff? Yeah, I mean, what I love is recording on location. And so there was kind of this happy accident that happened where the first EP we did it in the stairway of my university. And it came out so well that I thought, I always want to make a record on location versus in a studio, meaning that we just set up like somewhere random, like we could set up in the middle of this field and do a record. That's how I want to do it, versus we're going into a studio and I'm going to overdub guitar parts. And I always felt that was a very sterile environment for this band especially. So the idea for the newest record sessions was we rented this like a kind of like a villa in Majorca, Spain. And we just set up all of our equipment like in this courtyard, like under the stars every night, and recorded it like that, you know, just over the course of a week. Just to kind of get out of our element and to go somewhere really, you know, scenic and secluded, and just kind of make like a little project of it. So you're gonna kind of get that feeling to it, you know?
Yeah, like probably have a lot more fun, like out in the environment too.
Exactly, I think that's part of it too. I want the recordings to feel kind of like a hangout, honestly. When we did Affection, we did the LP, it was just a hangout. We did it like in kind of a rehearsal space, and it was just us like, you know, drinking, and we had like friends kind of hanging out, and it was very low key and very mellow. And I feel like that's really appropriate for the sound of the band. That's what gives it this relaxed feeling that you get. And I want to keep that feeling where it's not like the end of the world. We're just kind of trying things out, and it's very open, very free. And if like a spark happens, it just kind of happens, and I think that's a good environment to set up for it to happen. So that was the idea, was just let's go to Spain and do a record in the middle of nowhere.
Are you ever worried about inspiration ever dying out, or?
Not really. I feel like I've been writing so long that I've never really had like a writer's block or anything. I mean, knock on wood, of course.
Yeah.
But I feel confident that I kind of like enough things that have nothing to do with the band. There's like so many influences I have that are unexpected, maybe, like that don't really, like I like a lot of music that sounds nothing like the band, and I like you know, all these kind of different things. So I feel good about being able to find inspiration. You know, it feels like it's kind of got me this far, and it's one thing I always did. I had that natural curiosity, you know.
So you started making music in, like, I guess much younger, but in university was when CigarettesAfterSex, the project, came out?
That's when it kind of came out. Came out about 2008. I'd been making music since I was like probably like 8 years old though. And I had all kinds of bands in pretty much like any style you can name. But CigarettesAfterSex was the first thing I did where I thought I have this like unique group of like 8 songs, and they feel very unified. They feels like I'd made some kind of breakthrough writing-wise. And then I did that in 2008. The thing was that we did that then, but like those songs don't exist anymore. They've all been deleted, because it was kind of this constant process where I would make something and then like finish it and be unhappy with it, and then tear it down, start over again, and just keep starting over until I got something I finally liked. So the first 4 years of Cigarettes was just me making a lot of records that were abandoned and were released, and I just took down and stuff because I thought this isn't good enough, or I don't like it anymore. But finally, when we did the EP in 2012, it was the first time I thought, I don't want to tear this record down. I actually like it, and I think it's good for once, which was like a pretty big feeling. And then, what's up? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you study music in university also?
I did. Yeah, I studied like music theory and composition. And I thought I would be like a film composer if I didn't make it, writing pop songs, which I still have aspirations to do because I love so many film composers. They're some of the biggest influences on Cigarettes are those composers. But that was like kind of my maybe backup plan, was maybe I'll just go and try and be a film composer. They seem like they can make some money. Right?
Yeah. So we're a campus radio, and a lot of our listeners are university students.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever regret going to university, or because like now you've created your own thing? How did university influence your music?
I'll have to say I was a horrible student at university.
Same.
Meaning that I would just like drop classes left and right, and I would just like hated waking up early. I would just skip class all the time. So I was a terrible, horrible student. I can never say I regretted it though, because what university did for me was I found like a network of friends that all became involved in CigarettesAfterSex, and professors even that I knew. That's how we got access to do that stairway recording, was because I knew the professors really well. So it was kind of like I think university is good because it's like a hangout. You kind of meet people there, and the classes that doesn't matter. You just gotta meet people, and it's great for connections. And I kind of recommend school for that reason almost. You find your people there, and I found a lot of good people that made huge contributions to Cigarettes through the university, and friends that I still know they're still really good friends. So I could never regret it.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to end off an interview.
Sure.
Thank you again, Greg.